Now, where did I leave? There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the lot. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing candor.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy.
No marks, no indications of a storm.
A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Is he? Oh well. Some problems simply sort themselves, don't they?
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your forehead and taking your pulse with the other.
No lesions, no trauma.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens. Oh, do go on. I won't hold it against you. Promise. My, aren't we a meek little lamb? Perhaps I needn't have collared you at all, though it does look darling on you. So let's just leave it on, shall we? Because to answer your question, what this collar does is this. It makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
My, these smelling salts are strong stuff.
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with me.
The pale young woman doesn't acknowledge you. She nods to the right without moving her gaze from the ground.
Good gods! There's been a murder here!
Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. The sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. Aren't you enterprising? I'll let Waters tell you now herself. Go ahead. She with the body. Nothing to see here.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
Come on, please, Loisa. Be good, you scallywags.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
Doesn't force dinner, and I don't intend to do away.
You're a human, like me. That means we're friends already. My mum told me not to make friends with lizards and elves and dwarves and stuff. But I think they're okay.
You get saucy with me.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home.
Come on, please, Losa.
Be good, you scallywags.
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to
They don't care about us. We're like
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all rat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
You, Jill, is that right?
Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
One of us will kill our own.
Good luck, Chief.
Kicking us off.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
Like I said, you are... If you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
You one of them? A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions.
What's your name? No. God, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
She got eaten by a void one.
Forget it. How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else you can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the...
He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
There's nothing else you can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a And? dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger. It's
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce. There now, just like that.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen... There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
You are chilled, aren't you?
I ain't saying nothing.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we'd been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Dick.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out thoughts of Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here...
No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime, I shall hold my head steady.
Sing us a song. I know you can.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too.
They don't care about us.
Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
Mad. Insufferable. Surely.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse.
Tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this.
Well, we've got this wolf on a leash now.
Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
It was one of them. I know it.
I'm trying to concentrate.
Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
We just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of this honor to sink in. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now, shoo!
You! Sorcerer! Blood! No! Go!
Quiet enough for me to listen.
I'm not suited for this. It's sea cow, not sea sheep. Haven't got any shears, have you? People these days.
Sing us a song. I know you can.
Be good, you scallywags.
Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was...
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
It was one of them. I know it.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
She eyes you quite
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, you lay awake thinking of someone back home. A very special someone. You were reminiscing about the things you used to do together. Of course it is. The truth's right there. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with... I don't lick and tell. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
The woman keeps rolling her dice. She pays you no further notice.
It was one of them. I know it.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sob story somewhere else.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce. This slop as food. I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
I'm trying to concentrate. They don't care about us. We're the casualty. I'll give you that knuckle if we keep carrying on. One of us will keep our own. They're picking us on one by one. Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? Mad? Insufferable, surely. What are you trying to hear anyway? I'll tell you if you keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the Sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
They don't care about us. We're the casualty.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants.
I'll tell you if you keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man. Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The joy. I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
Not eager to bow before the great Bishop Alexander, son of the divine himself. My sentiments exactly. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You? What?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
It was one of them. I know it.
I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Away with you.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, we've got this wolf on a leash now.
Soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship with it.
Jill, is that right? I've a few questions for you. You are Jill, aren't you? I ain't saying nothing. Bloody toad. I'll come back to you. But you better rest your talk here.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
And we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your books are too full of it already. No. I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your god. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book.
We're like cattle to them.
The elf is reading a volume of... He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to...
Ah, yes. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you. Is there? Wherever do you keep it? Certainly not in your books. I have been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest. No. I want this text. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before he waves his hand dismissively.
Oh, it's just one of my idle curiosities. We mortals do like to consider these things. Now, please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to...
Do you mind? I'm ready.
Tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
All about it. Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
Keep those bolts trained on her.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side.
Do you? Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen...
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered...
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight.
There are others whose lives must...
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer. Go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, man, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What happened?
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them. She doesn't stir. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor.
Oh! What happened? Must have been the turnips. Water? Wine, for goodness sake! Oh!
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness. Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. A low whine escapes him. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register.
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall closed again. No matter how much you shake him now, he cannot be roused. The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.
The hatch is blocked! I need to find another way! God damn it! We need to get off this wreck, and quick!
The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls. The hairs on its back prickling as it lowers itself into a lunge.
You sorcerer!
It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Too much. Please, make it stop.
Sorcerer!
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Fantastic! Damn, that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
By divine grace, who was that howling?
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his...
Another sorcerer!
Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too? Go on then. Find a place.
Bishop Alexander. If Lucian were alive, what would he think of his son's divine order?
What will... You need to find a hiding place.
Great God, something's pounding on the hull!
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel the skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid! No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to...
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death, so...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns to his book.
Please, my time is short, although yours, I gather, is infinitely shorter.
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is. A warning of death fog with you press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The color drains from your hand, and you are left numb. The moment you touch the door, your belly goes hollow, and your skin, it doesn't budge. The moment you touch the door, your belly...
Get off this shit.
You do it.
Wait! Voidwoken!
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
They who are about to triumph.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary.
Let the games begin.
I've faced worse.
No telling whether there might be more. We need to move.
Away! The sea's hungry. We don't have much time.
I hear something. It's Magister Siwan. The one who put on this damn collar. Sounds like she needs help. She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. Bloody bubbles froth from her mouth. She's not long for this world. She's no more than a groan.
There's no time.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
She tries to speak, but can only gape. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling tincture. Blood quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. Blood pours out from around the bandage. Magister Siwan reaches out to you, her hand flailing. It's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes locked with yours. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship lets out a deep groan, then cracks.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
Those Voidwoken make short bloody work of the ship. Am I the lone survivor? It seems someone, something, wanted me alive. I thought the Order would get rid of any trace of the old Source King.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes, his chin, the crown of his head. He spots you, and his arms snap to his sides.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Why? I guess. Well, the people who put me here are human, And the people who took my parents away are human too? Or do you mean because I'm a... Are you a sorcerer? One of those guys that brings the bad void things here?
The child screws up his face and looks at you hard. He lifts his mirror up to his nose, closes one eye, and looks at himself again.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong. Or crazy. Maybe you're right. At least they don't mind where anyone goes. They know we can't leave the island, and it's a lot nicer out here than inside. But you didn't die. There isn't anywhere safer. That's what you'll see. I guess I am, but it's just normal to be scared. Nowhere isn't scary. You can stay out here with me if you want. You don't seem that scared.
This statue must be 1,000 years old. Wonder how much longer it'll last. Voidwoken! Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn, they made it to shore. These bloody collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. Drowned and eaten by a Voidwoken. I wonder in which order.
Look here, Quercus. Another giant. My word, this blasted isle is teeming with them. What's that? Yes, I did see how it made short work of the great acorn servants. Quite right, very impressive. But that is no reason to trust it. Giants like that destroyed our forests. They are the very reason the great acorn is returning in all its wrath. What? Dear me, have you taken leave of all 6 of your senses? You would have me use this giant for a shield? Why would I... Oh, I see. You cunning devil, Quercus. Of course, if it defeated the great acorn's vile servants, it can do so again. We need only follow in its big, wide shadow and be safe. Egad! It speaks our tongue, Quercus! Hush before... What do you mean a good time for introductions? You know full well who I am, you silly old cat. The great Solora, grandest of the... Oh, introduce myself to the giant. I shall do no such thing. You give away your trust too easily, my dear. No, we will have the giant march. In time, we'll see whether it deserves our confidence. Now, onwards! Shield! Venture forth, post-haste. The great acorn waits for no one. Aye, the giant takes notice of its charges. Dear me! It has questions, Quercus. Why, yes, I suppose answering them is the polite... Speak! Shield! What are your queries? A giant body, but no giant brain, eh, Quercus? Surely even the tall folk know that Rivellon was bare before the great acorn fell from above and seeded the Irwood, covering this land in beautiful and perfect until the giant races, no offense, realized they could use it to build their houses and fuel their fires. They carved the Irwood up, and the forests shrank and shrank. None of the original wood. But someday, the great acorn will fall again. The forests will be reborn, and the giant races will be wiped from this world. At least that's what I hear. Oh, Quercus, it wants answers. As if it is the first creature to ponder the big questions of the universe. What tree did the great acorn fall from? Where did that tree come from, if not a greater acorn? Could you build a nest great enough to store the great acorn for the winter? Some questions have no answers. Quercus, why is that so difficult to understand? The great acorn will come. It will destroy the world, and squirrels will reign supreme forever. I fail to see what's so difficult to grasp. What do you say, Quercus? We once believed it was good. No, quite right. As terrible as the giants have been to us, we do not want to see them. Rather, we must find a way to live together in peace, giant and squirrel. Although it would be quite a bit easier to get along if the giants would stop turning our home forests into spears and ships and things, wouldn't it, Quercus? Perhaps the shield will let them know as much. Oh, how pensively our... Ask away, shield. Indeed, Quercus. the giant takes notice of its child.